What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Well, I have to admit, I'm rather embarrassed with this particular video. Not the subject matter, just my answer to this particular query that I received. So one of my subscribers who donated to the channel wanted me, he had a request for the video. He asked me, what is my favorite Charles Bronson movie? And he gave different examples. And I have to be honest about Charles Bronson. I've never really watched any of his movies. And that might sound shocking, but I've never watched any of his movies. Now, have I ever watched a movie with him in it? Sure. But, but most of the movies, because see, one of the problems is, I think, and the reason why I haven't been exposed to him as much, I never got into the Death Wish movies. I never got into those movies. And maybe I'm doing myself a disservice by that, but I never got into the Death Wish movies. And I'm not a huge fan of Westerns. I never have been. I've never been a big fan of Westerns. And I know he was in certain movies. I think he was in the Magnificent Seven. I think he was in that movie. He was younger in that movie. I think he was in his 30s when that movie came out. But I was not, a big fan of his. And maybe some of you guys can tell me, some of you guys who are Bronson fans. I know a lot of you guys are my age and older. So maybe you could give me some suggestions as to some of the movies that, some of the best movies he did. Now, I know about the Death Wish movies. I haven't seen any of them, but I know about them. But I'm aware of his past. I know that he served in, I believe, World War II. Matter of fact, I take that back. I said he was in his 30s in the Magnificent. No, he was in his 40s then. He was in his 40s. Because I believe he was born in I think he was born in the early 1920s. And I think he died in 2003 or something like that. But anyway, so he was in his 40s then, but he looked younger than that at the time. But anyway, I know he served in World War II. And it wasn't some token position. I believe he was definitely in the fracas in World War II, and I believe he nearly got killed. And he had a terrible upbringing, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the family, the poverty, just terrible poverty, to the point where I believe he said that when he grew up, he was constantly hungry. He didn't have like the normal upbringing of a child, even in those times. I think he was lucky to eat once a day. Back then, he didn't have the normal, like, Christmases. I think his father was somewhat abusive to him. So he grew up to be a somewhat surly, closed off person, though I think in his heart he was still a good person. I do remember seeing something about, it was some movie that Charles Bronson appeared in. And this had to be maybe the early 60s or so. Maybe the early to mid 60s. Cause Kurt Russell, who we all know, as an adult actor, started off as a child actor. And I remember hearing a story about, I forgot what particular movie this was, but Kurt Russell was on this movie as a child actor. And as a child does, he played with toys. And I believe it might have been Charles Bronson's birthday. And Kurt Russell gave Charles Bronson a present for his birthday. I forgot what it was. It might have been like a toy airplane or something like that. And Bronson didn't say anything. He looked at the toy, looked at the child, and he walked off. And later on, Kurt Russell found out or heard that Bronson wanted to see him in his trailer. So he goes to the trailer, and Bronson opens the door. He's smiling, and there's tears in his eyes. And he said that was a wonderful present that he gave him. And he said that was the first time that anyone had ever given him anything for his birthday. And that's so sad. No one had ever given him anything for his birthday. He was so touched by that when Charles Bronson died in 2003, if I'm not mistaken, he gifted the toy back to now a very adult Kurt Russell. He had kept that toy and willed it back to Kurt Russell. That's how much that meant to him. We don't have good people like that in Hollywood anymore. You know, we have people like, you know, J-Lo, and, you know, people like Steve Harvey, Tom Hanks. And if you don't know about Tom Hanks, he may come across as a good guy, but he's not. He's not. And I used to love Tom Hanks. I still love him as an actor, but he is horrible. I need to do a video about him as far as my stars who treat people like crap. When the cameras aren't around, Tom Hanks is a son of a bitch. When the cameras are on him, he's that nice guy persona. But I've heard horrible things about Tom Hanks. This is a guy who, I'm gonna tell you something. It comes out at times, especially with the paparazzi around him. You'll see how nasty he can be. I remember old women who approached Tom Hanks, and not rudely, came to him when he wasn't doing anything, out and about, you know, and they come to him kindly and tell him how much they admire him as an actor, and that he's great and all that. And he'll cuss them out. Cuss these old ladies out. Get the F out of my face. I don't want to hear you. Get out of my face, you low life and all. That's how he is. And there's some other stuff too that I don't want to get into in this video. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about Charles Bronson. Tell me what you guys think.